A tragic car accident killed this family's 3 children. 6 months later, a true miracle happens to them. The death of a child is any parent's worst nightmare. Losing all of them then is practically beyond imagination, but tragically that's what happened to this couple when their 3 kids were killed in a horrifying crash. Aged 5, 4, and 2, the children had barely had lives at all, but then just 6 months on, the grief-stricken parents made a miraculous discovery. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. Lori and Chris Coble had enjoyed a happy home filled with love, laughter, and the boundless energy of 3 young children. The Cobles were the proud parents of 5-year-old Kyle, 4-year-old Emma, and 2-year-old Katie, but their lively household would suddenly fall silent one awful day. And that happened to be the one following Kyle's 5th birthday. Mom Lori, along with Grandma Cindy, had packed up the kids and headed to the mall. Kyle was particularly excited to ride the Ferris wheel set up there, along with taking a fun visit to the pet store. As the day wore on, the 3 young children grew tired, and as a result, Mom and Grandma piled the kids into the minivan to head home. Then when Lori was stopped in a line of traffic exiting the highway, she turned and saw little Katie starting to nod off. That, however, is when tragedy struck. As Laura tickled Katie's toes to keep her awake, an enormous rig was powering towards the back of her minivan. While traveling at 50 miles per hour and fully loaded with 40,000 pounds of freight, the rig crashed into the rear of the minivan, completely destroying it. Upon impact, Lori was knocked out cold. The injuries that everyone sustained in the wreck were so severe that the family had to be separated to receive the best care possible. Lori and Cindy were taken to one hospital, Kyle and Katie sent to another, and Emma went to yet another. Dad Chris was at work when he received the devastating phone call. Chris immediately went to the hospital where Lori had been placed, and upon his arrival, he was ushered to a private room close to the emergency one. There he was delivered some life-changing news. As he told CNN,
I literally ran to the emergency room at that point. They took me back into a small room, and the doctor told me, I'm sorry, but Katie has expired.
Before the grief of losing his 2-year-old daughter could register, though, Chris received a call from another hospital. He explained to CNN,
A few more minutes went by. They told me there was a call from the doctor from Saddleback Hospital. And I got on the phone, and the first thing I said was, please tell me Emma's alive. And he said, I'm sorry, but Emma has expired. So I just dropped the phone. I just couldn't believe that was happening.
With Lori now conscious, it was up to Chris to deliver her the awful news. Despite Lori's injuries and grief, however, Chris swiftly made his way to another hospital to be by Kyle's side. Seeing Kyle with his eyes open immediately filled Chris with optimism. The news doctors delivered, however, was yet another hammer blow. Kyle's brain was failing to receive an oxygen supply, and the suggested course of action was to take the 5-year-old off the life support machine. Meanwhile, by now Lori was stable enough to be transported to her son's hospital so the couple could say goodbye to him together. As Chris elaborated to CNN,
she's climbing out of the wheelchair as the best she can to hug Kyle, and saying he's got to go be with his sisters now. The sisters are waiting for him. And so we stopped life support. The machines went dark, and the room went dark, and I held my hand on his chest, and until his heart stopped beating, he was gone.
Kyle had been a vivacious boy, full of beans and very popular with other kids. Quieter than her older brother, Emma was nonetheless very brave, with an adventurous streak. She loved to have fun and was filled with boundless energy. Meanwhile, Katie, the youngest, was very sociable and loved to dress up as a princess. Understandably, the loss of all 3 of them would change the Cobles' lives forever. And the nature of their new reality only hit them during their funeral arrangements. Lori told CNN, the day before the funeral we did a viewing. We got to see the kids one last time. They opened the doors and in the back of the room were just 3 little caskets in a semicircle. The devastation both parents felt was naturally all-consuming, and Chris described that feeling as best he could to CNN. To some degree, you want to be with the children and end this constant feeling of grief, he said. You could easily consider taking your own life because maybe it'll be better in the sense that you'll see them again. But Chris and Lori, along with Cindy and Lori's 2 older brothers, pulled together and somehow made it through the insurmountable heartbreak. And after having taken to describing themselves as parents without children, Chris and Lori decided to try for more kids just 3 months after the tragedy. Realizing they could have difficulty conceiving naturally, Lori and Chris duly attempted IVF treatment, and out of a possible 10 eggs, 3 were fertilized. Now the couple had actually planned to keep only 2 of the 3. That is until they received some shocking news that would change their minds. They learned they were expecting 2 girls and a boy. "We took that as a sign from above," said Lori. So very nearly on the 1-year anniversary of the tragedy, Lori delivered triplets, Jake, Ashley, and Ellie. And while they're no replacement for the couple's lost children, sure enough, a little happiness soon returned to the Cobles' lives. Meanwhile, the rig driver held responsible for the accident, Jorge Romero, had a past record of speeding and was handed a sentence of a year in prison for 3 charges of vehicular manslaughter. Lori and Chris nonetheless forgave him though, perhaps because Romero, a father of 3, was beside himself with guilt. In fact, the Cobles went on to sue the California Department of Transportation for wrongful death, since the area in which the accident occurred has a known trouble spot. However, they eventually lost the case. As for the triplets, they're now 8 years old and know all about their elder brother and sisters through photos around the home and their mom and dad's stories. What's more, the family regularly pays tribute to Kyle, Emma, and Katie with picnics near their graves. Indeed, Lori admitted to CNN that she believes their happiness now is all down to their lost children, saying, "I think it's a miracle. I think they helped us. I think they made it possible." If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.